first online public meeting. Thank you for taking the time to join us in an important discussion about the community. We are joined by Jorge Bustamante from Precinct 2. Jorge, did you want to say a few words on behalf of the commissioner regarding the project, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you, David. And hello, everyone. My name is Jorge Bustamante, and I'm a project manager in the planning team for Commissioner Garcia and Harris County Precinct 2. I'll actually be the main point of contact along with Cindy Miller for any questions regarding this project. So first, I really wanted to thank everyone for taking some time out of your schedule to join us tonight. I know everyone's busy and there's a lot of stuff that you could be doing, but you took the time to get involved in your community and come join us today. So I really appreciate that. I want to say that I'm personally really excited about this project. The project team will explain what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we're really trying to evaluate Freeport Street to make it safer for everyone using it. But I'll let the project team elaborate on that a little bit. We basically identified Freeport as a potential location in a previous plan, but it was also identified through the Harris County Vision Zero initiative. And I wanted to talk about Vision Zero for a second because it really starts with the idea that no deaths on our streets are acceptable, right? And that traffic deaths and serious injuries are preventable, and that we should strive to design our streets for the safety of all street users. So with that, again, the project team will elaborate on the project, but I want to thank you for coming out. My contact information will be presented at the end of the meeting. So feel free to shoot me an email or give me a phone call, and I'm happy to follow up with you. I'm actually going to present to this little section in Spanish as well for all the Spanish speakers. So, hola a todos, mi nombre es Jorge Bustamante y soy gerente de proyectos en el equipo de planificación del comisionado García y Harris County Precinct 2. Yo soy el punto de contacto principal junto con Cindy Miller para cualquier pregunta relacionada con el estudio de Freeport. Antes que nada, quiero agradecerles a todos por tomar un tiempo de su día para acompañarnos. Muchas gracias por darle prioridad a este proyecto y venir a esta junta. Y personalmente, este proyecto es muy emocionante para mí. El equipo del proyecto va a explicar un poquito más en cómo vamos a evaluar la calle de Freeport, pero estamos pensando en cómo hacer Freeport más seguro para todos los usuarios que lo utilizan. Freeport fue identificado como un corredor para hacer un proyecto en planes anteriores, pero también fue identificado a través de una iniciativa que se llama Vision Zero del condado de Harris. Y Vision Zero, o Visión Cero, comienza con la idea de que ninguna muerte en las calles es aceptable. Todas las muertes y lesiones graves por choques se pueden prevenir y debemos esforzarnos por diseñar nuestras calles para todos los usuarios de la calle. Con eso, nuevamente, muchas gracias por haber venido. Si tienen alguna pregunta, mi información de contacto va a estar al final de la presentación, mi email y mi número de teléfono. Y estaría muy contento de comunicarme con todos si necesitan más información. With that, I'll give it back to you, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. With the next 20 minutes, we will introduce the Freeport Street project, talk about the importance of planning and your involvement. We will cover the existing conditions of the corridor, touching on the needs and opportunities that are present, and our initial understanding. We will cover how to continue to be involved and look at 2 early ideas for solutions that we will build on. Then, with the last 2 items, we will talk about next steps and the schedule for the study before finishing with questions and answers in both English and Spanish.
En los próximos 20 minutos presentaremos el proyecto de Freeport Street. Hablaremos sobre la importancia de la planificación y su participación. Cubriremos las condiciones existentes del corredor, tanto las necesidades y las oportunidades que están presentes, y nuestra comprensión inicial. También cubriremos cómo ustedes pueden seguir participando en este proyecto y les mostraremos una idea inicial la cual podamos seguir mejorando. Finalmente hablaremos sobre los próximos pasos del estudio, antes de terminar con preguntas y respuestas en inglés y en español.
This is a Harris County mobility project nominated by Commissioner Adrian Garcia. The purpose is to identify opportunities for improvements along Freeport Street and adjacent streets to create a safer and more comfortable environment for all users that supports residents and businesses. The project presentation team is shown at right. Each are present tonight and play an important role for the project. Jorge, you met. Cindy, my name is David Payne. I'm a transportation planner. Joining me in Spanish tonight is Estela, an engineer. We are both with Friesen Nichols.
Este es un proyecto de movilidad del condado de Harris nominado por el comisionado Adrián García. El propósito es identificar oportunidades de mejoras a lo largo de Freeport Street y calles adyacentes para crear un entorno más seguro y cómodo para todos los usuarios de la calle y que apoyará a los residentes y negocios. El equipo de presentación del proyecto se muestra a la derecha. Cada uno está presente esta noche y juega un papel importante para el proyecto. Ya conocieron a Jorge Bustamante y Cindy Miller. Mi nombre es Estela Cota Treviño. Soy ingeniera y esta noche estaré traduciendo la presentación de David Payne, un planificador de transporte. Los dos trabajamos con Friesen Nichols.
Planning plays an important role in the development of solutions where we take in understanding existing conditions, data, and assess the site and conditions as they are today. We do a survey of the site and a survey of the people and how they use the public space for walking, shopping, going to the park or school, and what limitations or constraints there are. We take this information into account and also note opportunities. How do we want to use this space? What would make it better? We will present a starter idea later in the presentation to get you thinking about that, and we want your input on what the solutions should be. Public input, your input is critical on the opportunities and solutions, and we want to make sure we record that input so that we can incorporate it. Lastly, we are all working towards the common purpose to make the corridor safer for all the people who use it day and night. And so the solutions we come up with, we want to see put into place to improve the conditions that will be lasting.
La planificación juega un papel importante en el desarrollo de soluciones, donde nos ocupamos de comprender las condiciones y datos existentes y evaluamos el sitio y las condiciones tal como son hoy. Hacemos una encuesta del sitio y una encuesta de las personas y cómo usan el espacio público, sea por caminar, ir de compras, ir al parque o la escuela, y qué limitaciones existen. Tomamos en cuenta esta información y también tomamos nota de las oportunidades, cómo queremos usar el espacio y qué lo mejoraría. Presentaremos una idea inicial más adelante en la presentación para comenzar a pensar en esto. Y queremos su opinión sobre cuáles deberían ser las soluciones. La opinión del público es fundamental para las oportunidades y soluciones. Queremos asegurarnos de tomar nota de esa información para poder incorporarla. Por último, todos estamos trabajando hacia el propósito común, hacer que el corredor sea más seguro para todas las personas que lo usan día y noche. Por lo tanto, queremos ver implementadas las soluciones que nosotros creamos para mejorar las condiciones en una manera duradera.
The study area is Freeport Street, a mile-long corridor between I-10 and North Shore High School, and includes side streets to civic destinations. The street is currently a 2-lane road classified as a minor arterial. When we set out for the project beginning, we first identify the issues of the corridor, the constraints that we'll be looking to address. We also want to keep in mind the opportunities that are already there that we can build on, but also opportunities that we can bring to add and make the space work better for all. Freeport Street today is a very busy space with busy people, and it is an active street with businesses and residences, people walking everywhere, going to the store, taking their laundry to clean, driving and parking, but it also just being in the public space, resting, and the importance of being outside.
El área de estudio es Freeport Street, un corredor de 1 milla de largo entre I-10 y North Shore High School, e incluye calles laterales a destinos cívicos. La carretera actualmente tiene 2 carriles y es clasificada como arteria menor. Cuando empezamos un proyecto, primero identificamos los problemas del corredor. También tomamos en cuenta las oportunidades que ya existen y que podemos aprovechar, pero también oportunidades que podemos agregar para hacer que el espacio funcione mejor para todos. Freeport Street es una calle activa con negocios y residencias y gente caminando por todas partes, yendo a la tienda o la lavandería, conduciendo y estacionándose, pero también simplemente estando en el espacio público.
These are all the activities that make Freeport Street successful. So how can we strengthen what is good, but also make for a safer space? We have a start on categorizing 6 key issues and opportunities, and we look forward to your input on them and perhaps identifying additional ones. We will go through each of these 6 areas in turn.
Todas las actividades que ocurren en Freeport Street hacen que la calle sea un éxito. Entonces, ¿cómo podemos fortalecer lo que es bueno, pero también hacer un espacio más seguro? Hemos comenzado a categorizar 6 problemas y oportunidades clave. Esperamos su opinión sobre ellos y tal vez podamos identificar otras adicionales. Hablaremos de estas 6 categorías a su vez.
First, areas with no sidewalk or incomplete sidewalks and no ramps for people with disabilities. It's first important to understand where there are currently not safe, all-weather surfaces for people to use and how we can connect spaces together to form a network. More people using the corridor and more active businesses comes from the community's success and leads to more activity. But we also need to provide the infrastructure to support that activity every day. Here's one example of the project team walking the corridor in an example area without a sidewalk. Not only is there no sidewalk, but there is also standing water where people would be if it were dry. So even after a rain, it could be several days before someone brave enough is able to safely walk there. This is just one example, but there are many locations like it along the road, and we know residents have to deal with this every day.
En primer lugar, no hay banquetas o hay banquetas incompletas y no hay rampas para personas con discapacidades. Más personas usando el corredor y más negocios activos provienen del éxito de la comunidad y generan más actividad, pero también necesitamos proporcionar la infraestructura para apoyar esa actividad todos los días. Aquí hay una imagen del equipo del proyecto caminando por el corredor en una área sin banqueta. No solo no hay banqueta, sino que también hay agua estancada donde estaría la gente si estuviera seca. Así que después de una lluvia podrían pasar varios días antes de que alguien lo suficientemente valiente pueda caminar con seguridad. Este es solo un ejemplo, pero hay muchos lugares como este a lo largo de la calle y sabemos que los residentes tienen que lidiar con esto todos los días.
We also refer to the places where grass has been worn down as people's choice trails, because that is evidence of the need for people using the corridor. We need to make sure that it is possible not just for the brave, but also for the everyday and the vulnerable users too. This is a pretty tempting place to build a sidewalk.
También nos referimos a los lugares donde el zacate se ha desgastado por los caminos creados por peatones, porque esto muestra la necesidad de la gente que utiliza el corredor. Necesitamos asegurarnos de que sea posible no solo para los valientes, sino también para los usuarios cotidianos y vulnerables. El área que se muestra aquí sería un lugar perfecto para una banqueta.
Speaking of busy corridor, there's also much use of the public right-of-way that encroaches on the safe passage and visibility. This could be a visual blocking of the intersections by signs or bushes, but it could also be cars parked where pedestrians are walking, poles in the way. We have also heard of businesses putting out furniture that they are selling or tires for sale as a way to advertise and have them be seen. We are making note of these uses, and it will be our challenge, all of us, to find a way to balance these uses, but also provide a safe passage so that vulnerable users don't need to step out into the road to continue on their way.
También hay mucho uso del derecho de paso público que invade el paso seguro y la visibilidad. Esto podría ser un bloqueo visual de las intersecciones por señales o plantas, pero también pueden ser carros estacionados donde los peatones están caminando o postes en el camino. También hemos oído de negocios que muestran los muebles o llantas que venden en el derecho de paso público como una forma de publicidad. Estamos tomando nota de estos usos y queremos encontrar una manera de mantenerlos, pero también crear un pasaje seguro que los usuarios vulnerables no necesiten salir a la carretera para continuar su camino.
I mentioned safety. This is a busy street, and unfortunately, it has also had a significant number of crashes. We pulled the data on crashes for the last 3 years and mapped it to look for patterns. We found that there were approximately 150 crashes over the 3-year period. A number of them were major or ended up in significant injuries, and unfortunately, 2 were fatal. It is very tragic and sad, but we can do better, and so we want to learn from the experience. Looking closer, there are a higher number of crashes and more severe crashes focused in certain areas highlighted on the screen. We are noting these as a cause for the need of improvement, and will also be looking closer at these locations for solutions. They could be adding signage, like a speed limit sign, or marked crosswalks, or improving visibility and adding a safe designated space for all users.
Mencionamos seguridad. Esta es una calle muy transitada y desafortunadamente también tiene un número significativo de choques. Recopilamos los datos sobre accidentes de los últimos 3 años y los mapeamos para buscar patrones. Descubrimos que había 144 colisiones durante 3 años, 15 severas y 2 que resultaron en muertes. Es trágico, pero podemos mejorar y tenemos que aprender de esto. Estudiando esta información más de cerca, la mayoría de los choques están enfocados en ciertas áreas resaltadas aquí en la pantalla. Estamos viendo esto como una causa de la necesidad de la mejora y también examinaremos más de cerca estas áreas para encontrar soluciones. Podríamos agregar señales que limiten la velocidad, marcar cruces peatonales, mejorar la visibilidad y agregar un espacio designado seguro para todos los usuarios.
There are not only constraints, but there are also opportunities. This street is alive with uses, businesses attracting people and people using them, parks and churches, schools and stores, food carts. These are positives, the positives that make up the community. And so we want to enhance them, provide the infrastructure to support them, and make them safer and more comfortable to use and enjoy. We also have the opportunity to enhance the aesthetics of the corridor, to improve the quality of life for businesses and residences and all of the people who use the street. Here's a picture, staff taking a break at the Rotary Park. See how the wall is providing delineation of space, but also a resting area? The surface is paved, so if it were wet, then they would not be in the mud.
No solo hay limitaciones, también hay oportunidades. Esta calle está llena de usos como negocios, parques e iglesias, escuelas y tiendas y vendedores de comida. Estos son aspectos positivos que componen la comunidad y queremos mejorarlos, crear la infraestructura para apoyarlos y hacerlos más seguros y cómodos. También tenemos la oportunidad de realzar la estética del corredor, de mejorar la calidad de vida de los comercios y residencias y de todas las personas que usan la calle. Aquí hay una imagen de nuestro personal tomando un descanso en el Parque Rotary. Vea cómo la pared está delineando el espacio, pero también sirve como una área de descanso pavimentada.
Another opportunity, here is a mother with a stroller. There are places along the corridor next to civic activities that attract more vulnerable users, younger folks, older, people with canes or pushing strollers, carrying bundles of laundry. We want to support their use and not just the quick and young to dodge between cars. This image shows 2 people, but it also shows an opportunity, the food truck at the right, and how they've made their own platform solution with crates as a creative solution for the mud.
Aquí hay otra oportunidad, una madre con una carriola. Hay lugares a lo largo del corredor junto a actividades cívicas que atraen a gente más vulnerable como jóvenes, mayores de edad, personas con bastones o empujando carriolas. Queremos apoyarlos. Esta imagen muestra a 2 personas vulnerables, pero también muestra una oportunidad. El camión de comida a la derecha ha creado su propia plataforma con cajas como una solución para el lodo.
And recently, there are now bus stops. In the last few years, more people in the corridor has led to more services. Harris County's transit has started the Cloverleaf line, Route 11, to facilitate people moving north and south, getting to work, school, and shopping, and, for example, crossing I-10 to get to the Walmart. Whether it is a hot day or rainy, this provides a critical transportation option. But the bus rider either needs to wait on the grass or in the street. And if you're in a wheelchair, neither is good.
Recientemente han instalado nuevas paradas de autobús a lo largo de la calle de Freeport. En los últimos años, más personas se han traducido en más servicios. El Departamento del Tránsito del Condado de Harris ha iniciado la línea Cloverleaf o la Ruta 11 para facilitar que las personas se muevan hacia el norte y el sur, para ir al trabajo, la escuela o de compras. Por ejemplo, la gente puede cruzar a I-10 para llegar a Walmart, pero el pasajero de autobús tiene que esperar en el zacate o en la calle. Y si estás en silla de ruedas, ninguna de estas opciones es buena.
So these are our 6 categories. We will continue to categorize what we learn and put into a document to help inform the solutions, where we need to do what and how. You can help us.
Así que estas son nuestras 6 categorías. Continuaremos categorizando lo que aprendemos y lo compilaremos en un documento para ayudar a informar las soluciones. Ustedes pueden ayudarnos.
We want you to be involved. We need you. You are the experts in the community using the street every day. So we have a survey out now asking what you think are issues and looking for input on ideas how to make it better. Then, what comes next? We will take the ideas and inform the solutions that we will then bring back to the community in about 2 months. So here's the survey link shown at the image on right. We will show that again at the end, and we have mailed it out to all of the households and businesses in the study area to try to get as much participation as we can quickly and efficiently.
Queremos que se involucren. Ustedes son los expertos de la comunidad y usan la calle todos los días. Tenemos una encuesta disponible ahora preguntando sobre los problemas del corredor y pidiendo ideas sobre cómo mejorarlo. Entonces, ¿qué viene después? Tomaremos las ideas e informaremos las soluciones que luego llevaremos a la comunidad en 2 meses. Aquí está el link de la encuesta. Lo mostraremos nuevamente al final de la presentación y lo enviaremos por correo a todos los hogares y negocios en el área para tratar de obtener la mayor participación posible.
So let's talk solutions for a minute. In 2015, the roadway was repaved, which is good for a nice roadway and a good driveway access, but the focus was on the roadway. We now have the opportunity to focus on what happens to the sides of the roadway. The standard Harris County design is to provide a sidewalk wide enough for 2 people to walk side by side, separated from the roadway by about 5 feet. This is within a 90-foot right-of-way that is owned by the public, all of us. The whole right-of-way is important for all users as it has to accommodate utilities, pipes and wires, trees, people, as well as cars. In this section, you'll notice moving cars take up about half of the space. As this is a very busy corridor, there is not going to be one solution for the entire way. The solutions will need to be developed on a block-by-block way. This section is just the starting point.
Ahora hablemos de soluciones. En 2015, Freeport Street fue repavimentada, lo cual es bueno para carros y acceso a entradas, pero la atención se centró en la carretera. Ahora tenemos la oportunidad de concentrarlos en lo que sucede a los lados de la carretera. El diseño de banqueta típico del condado de Harris es lo suficientemente ancha para que 2 personas caminen uno al lado de la otra, separada de la carretera por 5 pies. Esto está dentro de un derecho de paso de 90 pies, que es propiedad del público. Todo el derecho de paso es importante para todos los usuarios, ya que debe dar cabida a servicios públicos, tuberías y cables, árboles, personas y carros. En este diseño, los carros en movimiento ocupan aproximadamente la mitad del espacio. Como este es un corredor muy ocupado, no habrá una sola solución para todo el camino. Las soluciones se basarán en las diferentes necesidades de cada cuadra. El diseño que mostramos aquí es solo una de las soluciones posibles.
So here we are in October. We mentioned the survey is already live and we are meeting on October 6th. We will close the survey on October 19th, and then we will update the study with results and design alternatives and bring back another public meeting with recommendations in December. Again, we want to thank you for spending the time out of your evening to come participate, and we will look through the questions that have been entered, and answer those that we can. But we really want to point you to the survey to participate, and please share this survey link with your neighbors so we have their input as well.
Así que ya estamos en octubre y mencionamos que la encuesta ya está disponible. Y estamos reunidos hoy en este primer evento de participación. La encuesta cerrará el 19 de octubre y en noviembre tendremos una actualización de resultados y diferentes opciones de diseño para el precinto. Y en diciembre tendremos otra reunión pública con recomendaciones. Nuevamente queremos agradecerle por participar esta noche. Examinaremos las preguntas que se han enviado y responderemos a los que podamos. Pero también queremos pedirles que por favor participen en la encuesta y que la compartan con sus vecinos para que también tengamos su opinión.
So thanks again for your time, and now on to the questions.
Gracias de nuevo por su tiempo y ahora las preguntas.
I see one question so far, which is, what about the bike riders? So currently, cyclists have the legal right to be in the right-of-way, sharing the lanes with vehicles. That is the current standard for Harris County.
Hey, Randy, this is Jorge. That is a very good question. I think it's something that we need to study. We are very early in the process. So that is really good feedback in about the concern for including bike riders in our analysis. So I appreciate that. Sorry, and just to add something to that, the cross section showed us about a 6-foot sidewalk. Something that could happen if the sidewalk would be to include people riding bikes would be to make it a little wider, and that could accommodate someone riding a bike and walking at the same time.
Another question from Randy. How are you going to make it safe for handicapped and children? So that's also a good question, Randy. And that's, I think, part of the purpose for the project is to include a continuous network of sidewalk, including ramps at intersections that would accommodate the handicapped, people with disabilities, and smaller folks. Also got an added question from Express Electric. Will sidewalks be installed in areas that have a full concrete parking lot between the businesses and the street? That's a really good question. I believe that we will be using all of the concrete that's been installed. We certainly want to use as much of that as possible, but we will need to look at some solutions to make sure that the space is delineated so that pedestrians know where they're supposed to be. So that's an excellent comment. And if you have a specific recommendation or suggestion for a particular block, we'd want to encourage you to enter that information into the survey. And same for you, Randy, so that we can make sure that we document that. This is being recorded, but we'll be using the survey results to make sure that we have full questions and responses to incorporate. Another question from Express Electric. We are on the southwest corner of Freeport and Alderson. Thank you very much for that extra comment.
David, we have a question that came in from Lee Brown. What are the ADA standards that will be followed?
So I can answer that.
Please,
David,
go ahead.
If you want.
Yeah, sure.
All of the ADA standards. So the wording is it will be ADA accessible, and so it will go through a review so that all the ADA standards are followed, which basically means, level sidewalks, low slopes, and ramps with little buttons to advise people with visual impairment that a crosswalk is coming up. That's a general idea, but basically all the standards will be followed.
Good questions. Keep them coming.
We have someone who said there are a lot of taco trucks parked on the county right away. Will they be removed to install the new sidewalk?
I could take that as well if you want, David.
Sure.
No, I think we are very supportive of businesses in the area, right? We want to make this as positive for the whole community as possible. The taco trucks are delicious and are part of the community, and so I think we want to. That's why we want to get your feedback so that we can design this in a sensitive way for all the uses that are currently in the community. So the short answer is no, we're not removing any taco trucks as long as there's an adequate way to walk across.
We also have a question from George. It's a pretty lengthy one. The concern about the type of people that will use the sidewalks. So the good thing about sidewalks and roads is that they're usable by everyone. So we want to provide that so that everybody has the opportunity, including vulnerable users. So those are folks who don't necessarily have the option or the ability to step out into the street or to jump on and off of paved surfaces or around obstacles to the side of the road. But there's a pretty good number of comments there, so please be sure to fill out the survey and enter those comments in as well.
Yeah, David, I'll add to that. So George, there are already people already walking in this space, right? I think we can see that from what David mentioned, the people's choice paths. So basically, the cow paths that are faded, where the grass has faded. And so there is a balance in making it safer for everyone in the community. And so I think looking at some solutions that, again, support the community and support not only traffic safety, but also, personal safety are really important. But it's going to be a mixture of everything.
Hey, David and Jorge, this is Ray Guerra with also with Precinct 2. I just want to add a couple things. We're pretty excited about the comments that we're receiving. Wanted to point out that we do not necessarily have a solution here in mind. What was shown in the presentation was sort of an initial idea, but the idea of here and the idea of the survey is to get your input. We're, as you saw from the presentation, we are very concerned about safety on this corridor, and there's reason to be concerned with the data that's out there. But also, the Commissioner Garcia and Precinct 2 are absolutely not only super focused on safety, but we're focused on support of the community and support of the businesses along the community, and not just support, but doing what we can from an infrastructure perspective to increase economic activity. So we appreciate, I saw that we have looks like we have some businesses on the meeting. Again, we're not presenting solutions here. We're here for your input. We're focused on the safety of the corridor and also, again, on economic development. We want to hear your input. We'll be coming back at a later time once we've heard the community to present potential solutions. But please fill out the surveys and please just spread the word in your community. We really want to hear from you. And one more question as well. I know we've been answering our questions in English. I'm wondering if we can answer in Spanish, and or we're going to print the answers and send them out in both English and Spanish.
That's a good reminder, Ray. Thank you. So we've also got questions from Randy, and it's a three-part question. Are you going to add more lights along Freeport? That is definitely one of the solutions we will be looking at, particularly for the areas that have a little bit more crashes. We're going to take a little closer look at that. Certainly, whatever is recommended won't be detracting from the future ability to add electrification or more lights along Freeport. Second part question is there going to be more bus lines available? So it's a fairly recent addition by Harris County Transit to add the transit line. I don't know if we have updated information regarding the transit, but we'll definitely take that into consideration. This would not be the project to do that, but we understand that it's very exciting to have transportation alternatives. So for the support of the transit that's out there today, we want to make sure that that last mile, when folks step off of the transit, that they have a safe and comfortable place to go. And then the third part is there going to be more improvements in the whole community? And that's definitely an important question, and it's an important consideration. Projects of this scale and size take some time to put together. So be sure to let folks know, your elected officials know that it's a priority for you, and gather the support of your neighbors to encourage them. But that's an excellent question and a request.
Yeah, David, and just to add to that, we have done some projects in the community already in terms of paving the neighborhood streets, and more are on the way. So we're definitely looking at the larger community to make improvements as separate projects.
Good question / comment. Lauren, any others on the Q&A?
I'm checking right now.
Yes.
So we have one that says, how about a designated place for all taco trucks? So they've presented an idea for us. Any thoughts on that?
Well, that could be
a good thing to consider. Yeah.
And we have another question that says, will the sidewalks be tied to sidewalks on Holly Park? What about when they cross over the bayou between Holly Park and Alderson?
I believe that is in the limits of this study to connect up to the north end of the corridor. Yes.
And that is it from the question and answer right now.
Good participation. Thanks, everyone. Keep them coming.
Okay, so we have one that says, what about safety? Any more police presence?
That's a good question. I'm gonna, we can perhaps have the precinct chime in on that one.
Sure, that is a good question. I think we're going to have to circle back and check in with our constables and sheriffs and keep them in the loop. But there's definitely something we can take into consideration and follow up with you on.
Jorge, I know that currently Harris County Water District 36 does have a sheriff officer that they hire. And I know Regina Duncan from Water District is on, if she wants to elaborate a little bit about that.
Would you like me to unmute her?
Sure, that would be great. Thanks.
Regina, you've been unmuted.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, good
Yes.
evening, everybody. So the contract that the Water District currently has in place is mostly during working hours of the Water District business. There might be times of off scheduling for after hours or weekends, but at this point right now, we don't have that. So I think a lot of the foot traffic that might be experienced would be happening after 5 o'clock or on the weekends, which kind of tends to, that's when Freeport kind of livens up mostly. So that would be very important for the constables and sheriffs to maybe have a little bit, more heads up and preparation to come out during after 5 and during the weekends. And then just something about the mobile food units there. We work closely with the health department because there are some that probably should not be functioning or opening during after hours. So they're very active at coming after hours and checking, and watching those mobile food units as well.
Thanks, Regina. Thanks for chiming in on both of those topics.
You're welcome.
We've also got a comment from Express Electric that it sounds like the project will make the street look more presentable as well as safe. Thanks for your support. Please be sure to enter those comments into the survey as well.
¿Hay algunas preguntas en español? Si tienen preguntas, por favor, mándenlas y yo las puedo traducir las respuestas que demos. Gracias.
Looks like we've still got a pretty good number of attendees. So I think folks are thinking about that real winning question that they've got burning on their minds, and they're just typing it out. It's going to be a long one, I can tell.
So I had someone text me and ask me, what about cameras and more traffic lights?
Cameras and traffic lights. I'm offhand, I'm not sure that cameras are part of the solutions that we'll be looking towards. We can certainly consider it if that's an interest. Typically, cameras are used at red lights for enforcement purposes. I'm not sure what Harris County's policy is on that. So there would first need to be a needs basis for cars passing, violating red lights. But then the second item, if you don't mind repeating.
I think traffic lights.
Yeah,
traffic lights.
Yeah.
Traffic lights.
Those would be done on individual studies for a specific light location.
Yeah, typically there's a needs basis for those as well. So if we see an area there that may be needed for additional closer look, we'll certainly be documenting that for future consideration. And then Regina also contributes as a side note, the Water District also manages the street lights. Thank you, Regina. So if folks will report back any dark spots, and you can also enter that in the survey, we can work on budgeting and getting more poles added. Thank you very much for that contribution, Regina. And this might be a pretty good place to repeat Jorge's contact information, Laura, if you don't mind dropping that into the chat spot. But we're going to give his email address and telephone number.
Will do.
Yeah, so everyone, feel free to shoot me an email, give me a phone call if you have any more questions. But I think in the interest of everyone's time, we can, if there are no more questions, we can give you back your evening.
Yeah, we'll leave this open just for a little bit, so in case folks want to copy down your contact information, and it should be the same information that folks who received notices about tonight's meeting had or received. But then we'll also be posting a recording of this presentation on the Harris County website, the Precinct 2 website. Give it a couple of days, but we'll get it out there for everyone. Thanks again for participating. Thanks again to our panelists and to Estela for translation, and Jorge for the good framing of the project. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.